Hello, welcome to episode 4 of Wise Noise, the creative practice podcast with me, Pierce O'Halloran, graphic designer, founder of Wise Love Studio, based here in the northeast of Scotland. I'm not recording outside, unfortunately. I did my lunchtime walk and I had my little USB connector to my microphone, but I think the port on my iPhone is a bit dodgy, and when I came back in, the thing had never recorded properly. So, more studio based setting. I'm slightly going to rush this because I've made an amazing sagaloo, and I thought I would have eaten that by now, so I'm quite anxious about that. This week's guest is Peter Koelman. This seems like a follow-on podcast from last episode where myself and James Barnard, we discussed his new designers community, designers with three R's, a subscription-based community founded by James. Peter is one of the connections I made on there, one of the very first guys on there, and immediately struck by the quality of his work. And as the weeks and months progressed, very active user, always there with a kind word and really dispensing good critique. So I was very fascinated by the guy. I then realized he was moving to Scotland. He's based in the Netherlands at the moment, but he is moving to Edinburgh in March finally. So then I became kind of interested that this is somebody who could very soon be on the Scottish creative scene, be quite local in global terms quite soon. So I invited him on the podcast. I've been meaning to speak to him for ages. One of the other things with his Brandsmith.studio website is he runs a subscription model. Probably one of the only solo people I know going for a subscription model, and he does explain the advantages of such. And yeah, I was slowly finding out the logic behind it. Not that I'm going to jump to a subscription model myself, but I can absolutely see the sense in it. We talk about that, plus many other interesting things. He's a really good guy. Excited to have him on the Scottish creative scene, and just I can almost taste that sagaloo in my mouth. So I'm just going to get straight into the podcast. Here's Peter. Thank you for listening. So you're moving to Scotland soon, though, yeah?
Yeah, big move.
Any word from the Home Office?
No, not yet. Sadly, I think they still have like 4 or 5 weeks to tell us. So, and they might even expand it if they're very busy.
Wow. So, but you were over here on a reconnaissance mission a few weeks back in Edinburgh. How did you find it? Was it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's been the third time I visited. We're so in love with the city, man. It's so good. Very versatile, very cultural, very beautiful city, as in the architecture and stuff. Yeah, we just can't wait. We just want to be there before the summer starts, and it will be amazing. So we're aiming for March.
Oh, March, yeah, nicely coming into the spring summer where Edinburgh starts to shine, and Edinburgh's a fantastic city, man. It's I don't know, you kind of visit so many times, maybe slightly the novelty wears off, but there is I was just there like just a couple of weeks ago, and it still strikes me. I just love the mix of the old and new,
Absolutely,
and the old town, and you just kind of take a walk around the corner, and it's just like it. One of the things they say about Edinburgh is that you can kind of be going up all day and still end up in a cave, as in
fair.
Yeah, because like when you're at the Edinburgh Fringe, which obviously you'll get to fully experience. Have you been to the Edinburgh Fringe before?
Not yet. I think the first time will be fun, but when you're living there at one point, it will be it will be a thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, Edinburgh seems to be like pretty busy all year round. But August, Edinburgh is just complete chaos. It's like, but I absolutely adore the Fringe. Just the fact of because there's so many shows, there's loads of free shows. I just like to kind of like go down there, and I know certain venues that put on decent gigs, and I know certain free venues as well where you get just completely random gigs, you know, just totally back of a pub, just the side door off to the left, and there's actually somebody performing comedy in there. But I do love that wandering where you just kind of and that's getting back to that statement where like you seem to be sort of like going up from the grass market, say you're kind of going up and up and up, and then you get to the venue and you still realize you're still underground.
Oh, I love that so much.
It's still under
exactly.
a bridge
The
or
layers.
something like that. Yeah. There's so many levels in Edinburgh. It's just it's like an Escher painting or something.
yeah, exactly. That's a good.
Just kind of come to life. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, speaking of good Dutch artists, Escher was one of the first. I remember kind of getting into graphic design because I got a book on Escher back in the day. Yeah, so when did you start out in your design career then, Peter?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me it started back in the day. I used to play like in rock bands and that kind of stuff when I was a teenager.
Oh yeah.
And you need your own stuff first, right? Like merchandise, logo design, stuff like that. And then a lot of friends and other bands would like knock on my door and ask for similar kind of designing. So I think that's the way I started rolling into it. I was always drawing like as a kid, as most designers do. And I think at one point when I was choosing for my school, for my study, I found out that I really wanted to be a concept designer for gaming and movies and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the market is so small in the Netherlands for that, so you had to like immigrate already. And the competition is really high. And then I just found out that graphic design would be an easier choice. There's always room for work. And I really fell in love with logo design. I think that was the start for me. And then I expanded it from there.
So, like, getting the band names, they were your, like, first logos as such, you know, getting those band names.
Yeah, exactly. The very basic stuff.
I think there is a site where you can go on, you know, that proper death metal writing. I think you can put in text and it kind of, like, spits out, like, you know, the text in a proper, like, you know, highly illegible bands.
Yeah. I think there was even a measurement, like, back in the day, if you were really black metal, you needed to have a logo that nobody could read.
Yeah,
it was like
was
one of the main things.
Yeah, I know about it, and it's like when you get into it, like, you know, I dabble in metal, and there are some bands that I love in that genre, but there's a few of my men's pals are proper hardcore, and you realize how kind of like sub-genre-fied it is, like, you know, stoner metal, black metal, doom metal,
yeah, man,
death metal.
I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, and people get quite tribal in terms of like the subgenres. Then it's just like, you know, it's just like, black metal's crap, doom metal is worse. Like,
so much gatekeeping, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so much gatekeeping, yeah, it's kind of crazy going on there. But yeah, no, that's lovely, man. Because I have similar things where my first kind of design experience or my first love of design came in was like back in the 90s. One of the things in my school was that you would get like a canvas bag, you know, like an old army bag. And the whole idea was then that became a literal canvas. And you would write your names of your bands, you know, you would stamp out sort of what tribes you kind of belong to. So like, you know, you'd have Nine Inch Nails or like the Aphex Twin logo. And I do remember, you know, some guys would come into school and they would just write the names of the bands. And I would just think, man, that's so sad. Why don't you actually put the actual... I didn't understand why people didn't love kind of drawing the logo, the actual, the proper logo as much as I did. So I think that's where I kind of like at first realized I was a different breed.
Right.
Other people where I just like that graphic, that logo was like, that was so important to me, you know, that was like a religious icon to me, you know? So, so similarly in that vein where you like, having those band icons or logos, they kind of mean so much to you, and I think that's where I kind of got into logo design. Yeah, wow. So you went to study then in nearabouts. Whereabouts did you study?
Enschede as well.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So local, easy. Yeah.
And did you, once you kind of graduated, then were you sort of doing your own stuff, or did you get into like agency work then straight after?
Yeah, so the study itself was art and technology, it was called. It was really fun because it's very wide. It's not just graphic design. You did like 3D modeling, you did sound design, you did some video editing. So it was more like an introduction study to all these fields. And then once I needed to start my internships, I found out that I didn't know enough about any of them. It was like very basic. So that was also the moment that I shifted from like concept design to graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just started doing internships by local branding agencies, marketing agencies, that kind of stuff. And I learned everything in my internship, basically. Like 90% of knowledge is from there.
Well, that's interesting.
So I did that for...
You felt as though a lot of the knowledge that was being passed on to you was slightly useless, or you didn't take it on board?
It felt more like a search journey than actually preparing for the work field, if that makes sense. Like, you're a creative person, you can do this, you can do that. But actually being steamed ready for the agency work was like, I wasn't even close. Not even. Wow. Like I do like internship, mentorship nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have these discussions with students as well. Like, how much do you actually, learn from the school itself or in your free time? And it always ends up being like 90% of your free time just looking online, searching, other people teaching you. I think the study is more like you need the degree to start somewhere, but I think we're in a field of work where a degree doesn't mean that much anymore.
That is fascinating, because I do think that there's so many self-taught designers out there. You'd actually, I meet people and their work's amazing, and I kind of go, "Oh, where did you study?" And I'm like, "YouTube." It's just
exactly.
I just, there's sort of no gateway, and if you have the skills, and that bit of paper that it gives you a degree is kind of irrelevant in terms of, you can kind of just kick off and start if you have the ideas and the skills to execute them. Then that's the basics essentially. I remember having a problem with college in terms of like being in a bubble, the 2 years of college, and one of the things is that you kind of get projects, but you kind of get a full month to do the project. And it's like, first week you're probably doing research and you're down to the library and you're getting a mood board together. And the second week you're getting the ideas. And then the third week you're kind of putting those ideas together, seeing what's working. And then the fourth week you're kind of like, let's put all these ideas together. And then you kind of get forced out of my first job. Like the guy was like, he's like, "Oh, we need a flyer and you have to send him a proof at lunchtime." And I was like, "What? Lunchtime? I can't even get mood boards prepared by lunchtime, You realize it's a mechanical process, it's like very much like a factory of like design. It just needs to be out. You need to kind of grab some stock image, get some text on there, change the colors to the brand, and boom, out it goes. Whereas
Absolutely.
you were just in this lovely kind of bubble of like, in college, thinking like, this is amazing. If you get like a whole month to kind of work on this and without interruptions, wow, that's fabulous. But it's not the cold hard reality of like in the vocational side of life.
Any sense of responsibility is not there until you start a real job, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest one. Like, everything is up to you now. Like, nobody's gonna protect you. Nobody's gonna tell you what to do anymore. And you start learning once you do the job, man. It's like, internship is nice and all, but after that, you're getting paid for it. You need to show up,
That's, I suppose that is the, there's no way to kind of learn except to do, essentially, and to like, make all the mistakes that everybody goes through. I think jobs are pretty good in the first aspect or the first instant. I remember going to see a guy, Ken Garland, who's this famous British designer. And I think he was like, I was kind of audience of young students, and he was like, try and make your mistakes at somebody else's expense. That was his thing. It's just like, jobs are kind of handy for that. If you go into a job, then at least when you're making the mistakes, it's somebody else's pain. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But then when you actually kind of go out into it, it's just like, the trials and tribulations of working with clients and, trying to figure out briefs. Like, that stuff can't actually be taught in the college. You just have to kind of get in
exactly.
And find your own kind of, find your own vibe with that,
Yeah, for sure. That's also what I see with my interns a lot. It's like, the biggest hurdle for them is team communication, client communication, sketching up concepts. They always want to be perfect straight away. Like, just see some ideas first, and we'll choose the right one, and you can continue on. And they're really, I don't know, there's some kind of shame there where people don't want to reach out for help, even though it's an internship.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a shift for nowadays or not.
Yeah. I, yeah, I suppose, yeah, it's, but yeah, I suppose that just comes from just trying to impress people and having
Probably, yeah.
been a bit of afraid almost to kind of like not to feel as though they like need help or want help, you know. But yeah, that confidence comes with just getting out there and doing it, as you said, you know. So at the moment, you're launching Brandsmith. I've seen your amazing website. It's like
Thank you,
it's
man.
absolutely fabulous, man. So I wanted
Thank
to
you.
talk really about like one. The amazing website that you got. I'll maybe pull up the website because
Sure.
you built it in Framer.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is I really love how one of the things that struck me is the fact that you have a membership scheme.
Hmm.
It's a different way. It's the first time I remember seeing something like that. Let me just actually share the brandsmith.com. No, Brandsmith.
No, that's studio.
That's studio. That's it. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. So first off, do you want to talk to me about the actual build of the website then?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you
I don't know if you're
is
familiar with Framer in general.
no, not massively. I mean, I've played around with it, but and I do know it's kind of one of the go-to digital tools out there. And also, like people are talking about it in terms of just motion design as well. You can do some really lovely bits of motion on there. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, like Framer for me was such an easy step when I found out it exists because it's basically a copy of Figma. Figma is like the go-to tool these days for all the UX UI design, like website design, app design, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And it's basically like 90% the same interface. So
Hmm.
finding out that you can just make something in the canvas and it already works as a website was mind blowing to me because I've like worked for over a decade with developers and there's always like that constraint of what are they able to build? Do they understand my vision with the design and kind of stuff? So then I found out this company exists in the Netherlands and it became huge in no time. Like in the last 2 years,
Wow.
they've done so many updates. I've never seen this before in the software
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
They gave me a lot of hope because I've been looking at things like Webflow, which is basically the same thing, but it's been around longer in that capacity. And it just seemed very daunting. And once I opened Frame, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Let's just
yeah.
play around. There were so many tutorials available as well, not only from them, but from like YouTubers and stuff like that. So I just started playing. I offered it for clients because one of the clients reached out to me and asked me if I was like building into Framer. And I was like, well, I just dived into it. If you give me the freedom to learn while doing it, then yeah, let's do it. Let's find out. And we realized it's so much faster than I thought it would be. And there's of course like limitations you'll find out during the project, and we'll just communicate that with the client. And at one point I was like, I'm doing so many Framer projects now, and my website is still on WordPress, so it's time to do my own one now. And that's this one you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like the hero section, I like first of all I needed to really redo all my communication, like first it was all over the place and now I really wanted to focus on my style of working, like the membership model, the benefits from that, really looking from the perspective of the client, like what are the benefits for them in that way,
Hmm.
and what can they expect. And so it's less like a traditional portfolio side and more like a sales page for my services.
Yeah, I get that. It's and that's what I loved about it, you know, because I've kind of, it was a few years ago that I kind of started to think about that because a lot of my websites was just, you were just hit with pretty images and a
Yeah.
phone number or an email. And it was like, here's the pretty images, call me. And it was like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm starting to think a little more about like the client journey and what does the client want to see and what are the things that they need and things like those recommendations, those things like performance indicators, you know, putting stats up about like how many people subscribe to a certain kind of thing that you did, or, you know,
Yeah.
those things are actually what the client is really want. They love nice images or the pretty images are sort of almost a given, but they want to see how
Yeah.
the return on investment if they kind of give you kind of some money, you know.
Yeah, pretty visual should be the bare minimum, right? Like that's what you're being hired for. So that should be
Hmm.
a no-brainer. So it's literally that. If I learned something from being an art director for the last few years, it's like clients want to know what they benefit from you. Even if you're talking about visuals, like you make those choices with their goals in mind and their perspectives, and that's a big shift that happens for me in the last 10 years. Like, okay, I'm going from making nice looking stuff to actually meaningful stuff for their business. And that's what I've tried to communicate in this one as well. It's like, it's fine in all the visuals, but let's talk about what you actually want. You want quick concepts, you want quick drafts first. The whole thing in my business model is that I try to work quickly. I will still get to the same level of quality in the end, but I prefer showing them something really quick in like 2 days that we can have an opinion on and move forward, than taking 2 weeks to make sure that the first version is perfect, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of assumption going on in designing there. And I found out in the agency world that's very much appreciated, and I really wanted to translate that into like a freelance model. And I didn't come up with this model myself. It got popularized by, I think Design Pickle was the first one. Mm-hmm. And basically it was like low budget. You could just request any kind of design. They would have some designers on the platform doing it for them. It's like Fiverr kind of level of quality, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And then it got popularized more by agencies like Design Joy, which basically made it so that this model can also happen for high quality design.
Yeah.
And then it became very interesting to me. I've done like freelance work in the past, and what I really hated about it was all the administration that comes with it and all the communication that comes with it. And this is so streamlined that I felt confident enough to give it a try again. I'm so happy that I did in this model.
So to let people know, so people join up and you pay a subscription fee essentially, which the pricing is down here. I'm just kind of skipping through the site because
that's fine. That's fine.
I'll go back and talk about the little details of the design, the actual website itself. So they sign up for you have a €2,500 a month. And they basically had ongoing support. And the fascinating thing is unlimited revisions. So you don't kind of have this. I'm kind of one for that as well, but my kind of style is per project. I kind of feel as though I never kind of put a maximum of revisions on it, because I think there's a certain point where I might be failing as a designer if I'm not getting it right, you know?
Yeah. So that's one of the things.
It seems wrong to be punishing the client to kind of like, if I missed a brief or if I was way off or I didn't read the brief properly and I kind of give them something that was like, you know, that wasn't there, and then I'm suddenly charging them extra to kind of change it because I've missed the point kind of completely, you know. But you're kind of doing it in this, and I kind of get it from both perspectives. You know, you make a good case that in the FAQs about that you could be paying £100,000 for, like, you know, top level design. So it's this way of kind of getting an outsourced design department at a cheaper rate, but still the same sort of level of like responsiveness. So you will kind of respond, as you say, within the couple of days. You'll kind of you'll have the unlimited revisions as though you're like an employee. So I get the idea from the clients. Then also I think it's good for you, because once you actually have a few people signed up, you kind of like, one of the things about freelancers, that the varying nature of your income, you know. So I do it's quite nice that if you had like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 kind of people signed up to this program, and you're pulling in quite a really nice wage every month. And I kind of get then you can kind of relax about the unlimited revisions. You just kind of give these people a VIP service as you kind of go along. So instead of having like, because I see that way where I operate, and I probably have like 20 regular clients, and maybe like 5 or 6 of them are kind of like, they make up about 50-60% of my income, you know, as in like the ones that are in the VIP lane. But it is very sort of seasonal, and it kind of comes and goes, and it does tie me up for I get there every year in terms of like pulling in an amount that I feel comfortable with. But I can kind of get from your point of view where you just basically have, you know, just a handful of clients, but they all get like a VIP service. Is that how it kind of works from your end?
Yeah. I want to add something to it as well, because like when a lot of people see this model, they assume it's some kind of like retainer model. So when I say like, hey, you have a month, I can get a certain amount of work done for you, and then revisions make sense to have a limit on it. because you have deliverables that you agreed on for a retainer. This is basically, you don't communicate what the deliverables are beforehand because you just don't know. It really depends on how quickly can we get to that solution. If we come that quickly, I'm willing to do more because you already made a reservation for my time in that month. So the benefit of that, it doesn't really matter if I'm working on a revision or the next project, if that makes sense. It doesn't cost me more or less time because I already booked the time for that client because they paid a subscription. So there's like a limit on it as well. So I have like set time blocks on the days that I work for the specific clients. And if I can do like 2 requests in that time, it will be quicker. If it takes me, or 2 or 3 sessions before I can finish it, let's say like a landing page, for example, takes a little bit more time. I just give them updates. So revisions don't really hurt me. And clients really like the idea of like, okay, there are no surprise costs of extra revisions because I couldn't communicate what I really wanted, or the designer couldn't really get what I wanted with my briefing. And that's a really safe zone and a win-win situation for both sides. You really nailed on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what was the specific question about the VIP treatments that you said?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to say, look, is that where it is from the back end, where it's like your goal is to, instead of having like, as I do here, as I said, I have during the year I could have 20 plus kind of clients, and I probably do have like 5 or 6 VIP ones, but actual I price from project to project. Whereas I think the value from your end is that it's almost kind of, you kind of get to, if you have 2 or 3 people on this, you kind of go, okay, well, the bills are paid and I kind of will get X amount in per month. Yep. So you can almost kind of relax. And I think you noted on the lack of admin side there as well, because when people are signed up, it does mean that you're not sort of like clocking in and out of times. You're not sort of like per project kind of like looking at trying to add up all those costs to make sure you're actually profitable. Yeah. It just means that, exactly. Right, you have me, here's the dates, and here's this, at the first of every month, you're going to get this total amount kind of coming out. So that win-win side.
The biggest benefit is the cash flow, for sure, like knowing what's coming in and going out. And because of that, you can make those reservations of time. So I don't have to like have the discussion of what is it worth for them. I'm just valuing my time. And if I'm booked full and they value the work that comes out of it, I can look at the pricing again. So let's say I have a limit of 4 clients now on a subscription, and that's purely to make it manageable because this is still quite new for me. I still need to figure out how the workload works. So now I give an update to clients every 2 days, every 48 hours, I say. So that means that if I have 4 clients, I can do 2 a day. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. So I have time blocks of, let's say, 4 hours. I not use the full 4 hours most of the time. It really depends on the kind of projects that they have set up. But let's say I'm done in 2 hours and the next one is also 2 or 3 hours. I still have hours left that day. I could use that for my own promotion. I could use that for fixed pricing. I still do fixed pricing projects on the side because this is a model that's really hard to sell to clients because they don't know yet how it works. It's very unconventional. So what happens now is that people come to me, they ask me for one project what the fixed price would be. And then I do the standard calculations of like, okay, there will be a couple of revisions in there. There's got to be some project management needed. It at least takes me this amount of time to make it. So you round up to a nice price. And then I always communicate like, hey, normally I work on a subscription base, but let's just start doing it fixed price. I have to include these extra costs that I have to keep in mind. So subscription base tend to be cheaper in the long run if you want to work together for a longer period. But this is the price if it would be separate. This way, they know what they're choosing for, what the benefits and downsides are. And what often happens if we do a couple of those fixed projects in a short amount of time, they figure out they still need like 6 more projects. And it makes more sense for them to go to the subscription base. And then the trust is already settled. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one of the most important parts of this model to work, because you're doing this like this trusty partnership because you don't really agree on the deliverables. So that's like... So that's the hard thing to sell.
It's a difference from a retainer in that respect.
For sure.
Where you might have deliverables. But yeah, these guys are just booked in for slots of your time, and whatever you do in that time is kind of up to them, essentially,
Yeah, and you try to take away all the doubt you can, like stuff like, I say the first week we could try it out. If you don't like it, you get the remaining weeks back. So 75% of the first month. Stuff like, I wanted to name something else. I forgot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just go through, but like, yeah, and what I love is that you kind of have the full agency skills, from like websites to branding to motion as well. So it does feel, yeah, that's, I think, the good sell for you. And I was talking to a guy who's like a generalist on the previous podcast. I was trying to we were trying to mark out what's the pros and cons between like selling your services as a generalist versus a niche. And I think you're a good example of somebody who, being a generalist, that you can offer this full kind of agency experience, no matter what sort of brand, a part of their brand or communications. You can do it all essentially. So it's a one-stop shop. So and because you're kind of dealing from the brand to the website, there's no sort of handover to a web developer where things can kind of get confusing, and there's a bit of dialogue there. So it's I do think, as a generalist, I think you're a really good example of how to sell yourself as a
thank you
that plus side of having all those skills.
Yeah, I have to agree that like both are really good tactics, like niching down to one specialization or being a generalist. It's really what you just said. It's about how do you profile yourself? Because the benefits are obviously doing stuff yourself. There's no handovers. You have quality control, but you also have to be kept up with like the trends and the evolution of every of those fields to be relevant. So that's the downside, and niching down, people know exactly what they expect of you, and they know exactly what kind of projects they would need you for. The downside is obviously that you're only needed for that part of it. So yeah, I don't know. This fits me more. I'm very easily bored. I tend to get into like a low key burnout if I have to do the same kind of work for a long time. I've worked for like a website agency for 2 years, and I was only doing wireframing and some web design for like 3 different clients in the whole year.
Wow.
And that really killed me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I really wanted to go back to like a full marketing agency. So I'm not only just an art director for the design department, but that I can also like work together closely with the web developers, the video guys, the social media marketing people. Yeah, and I learned a lot from that. And then I was like, I want to keep up with all of this because I think it's always intertwined.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all intertwined. And to discuss about the aspects of the site then. So I like your little representation of you at your Brandsmith anvil here. So is this all done in Framer, this motion, or is it like a 3D
No,
thing
this is
reported?
actually a tool called Spline 3D.
Okay.
And I think it's spline.design for the website if people are interested.
Right, okay.
So basically you can model everything inside of it. You can even import models that already exist. You can give them materials. You can give them little interactions. So in this case, I gave the interaction of look at the cursor, and then you can give it like a sensitivity. So the head has a higher sensitivity than the rest of the scene. So the whole scene slightly moves with the cursor, but the head really follows it. And that's all built into that tool. So if you're a little bit familiar with modeling with 3D, this is like super user friendly.
Amazing.
I barely have any background in 3D, and this was like very easy for me to set up. It was really fun to build. It's something separate. And then
what was that? I'm taking a note of this. I want to play around with it. What was it? What was the 3D modeling?
Oh, sorry, Spline. Spline.design is the website, I think.
Spline. Cool.
And and it's just an embed after that, because Framer, you can just embed any source you want.
Yeah.
Which just records the global mouse movement in general. So.
Yeah, this is the. Has it switched to Spline, or what are we on?
We're still on the website.
Yeah. No, it's
there's so much stuff built in, because if you have a subscription on Spline, it even offers you like all the materials you want. You can create your own materials if you're familiar with it, but it's a little bit more complex than normal design, because you have to think about lighting and reflectionness and little textures and that kind of stuff. So
it's really useful. For free. Yeah. Nice, man. It's great because I love your way dude at the top of the website. It's such a
thank you.
Such a nice characterful start to the website. It's just nice and simple.
The idea was simpler than actually building it. I have to be honest. It took me way more time than I eventually wanted to.
Yeah. Just so we speak. These are really nice pop outs as well, man.
Thank
So
you.
is that sort of done in Spline and imported in
Yeah,
again?
no,
Yeah,
that's all done in Framer. So Framer, you
in
just build
Framer.
different
Okay.
states. You can smart animate between them. So you just, you expand them a little bit, give them different positions. It's almost like time frame kind of animation that you use to in After Effects, but you just have to think in states instead of keyframes.
Ah,
And
right.
then you
Okay.
could just
Yeah, yeah.
smart animate and then decide how the easing goes between the key points
Different states. Yeah.
and if it bounces or not, stuff like that. It's all built in. Framer is really good for that little like UX animations.
Yeah, amazing, man. And yeah, the full branding, the websites, as you said, animations. So, are you an After Effects guy as well then, or do
Yeah,
you
for
just
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah?
I've always had a huge love for After Effects. Back in the days, I was really into Flash animations when it was still relevant.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember
Flash, my
when I
God, yeah.
started like my actual career, Flash obviously got killed off by Apple. So I was really sad about it because I was like building games and websites into it. Like my my band website would be in Flash and all the
Yeah,
interactions were possible and it's so cool. But
yeah, yeah,
like the style of animating, it really reminded me of it when I started going into After Effects. And there's so many resources for After Effects and so many good plugins as well. And I got really familiar with it and it really helped me out for presenting, especially logo designs for some reason. Like if I did
yeah,
client
really.
work and you do the reveal, you do it with like a good After Effects animation, it really adds so much to it.
No,
So yeah, I
absolutely,
saw it
man.
as
It's
an upgrade to the package.
yeah, yeah. I think it's a kind of a bit of a necessity these days in terms of like, having that extra bit of motion to a graphic. So you would actually, because I always kind of keep it at the end. I try and get the graphic just as tight as possible. But you would sometimes in your proofing stage or the conceptual stage just actually animate it so that it could actually sell it a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say like first I have the brand concept, and after we agree on that, I start working on the visual identity. And I think this is definitely a big part of the visual identity in general. So if I sketch something out as in like proof of concept for the logo and do some mock-ups, I think a logo reveal is one of the easiest thing you can do to add like the motion language to it. Because that's basically a whole separate layer of your branding, especially when you're doing a lot of social media and that kind of stuff. Like you really have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
show them what it feels like if everything moves. Is it bouncy? Is it very, very slick? Is it, there's so much emotion you can add with motion.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, man.
So yeah, and that's really cool to already put it in there because I think it strengthens the actual visual identity as a whole. So I would not skip it in phases.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I really love this FAQ kind of part where, unlike others, you kind of click it and it comes up on a mobile, and it's like the questions come back at you. So, is that another little framer animation thing going on
Yeah,
there?
this is just in Framer. Yeah, this took me way too much time. I'm going to be very honest here. But
It's
it's
very
so cool
clever
that you
though.
can write.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like I saw it as a project like, oh, this is the perfect thing for me to learn Framer better. Like if I can
Yeah,
pull this off, it's not only nice for my own website, but I actually understand it way better with the different states and the different phases and how you hide and reappear stuff. I even
yeah.
added little details like when you just push the message, it says like send and then it changes into read and it says the current time of your system. Like those little things, they were all
Wow.
little features that were built into Framer. I was like, I want to pull everything out of it that's in there.
Wow.
So yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I
really
didn't even
fun.
notice that. It's pulling up the exact time that it is here in the UK. Wow. Yeah, amazing, man. And even just your like the even in that geeky kind of logo direction style, the logo itself is fabulous, man. It
Thank
works
you. Thank you so much.
all over the place. And yeah, speaking of geeky logo critiques, we first met on designers community, designers with
Yeah,
3 Rs. So I had James on the other day. We were discussing about how the
awesome.
kind of first 6 months have gone. How are you finding it? Are you enjoying it, the space?
I think it's super lovely. Super lovely. It's the first one that I really joined that's purely focused on international designers.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is not very gatekeepy. I was worried that it was like or super professional or only junior designers. When you come in, it's like it's literally every level. Like people you look up to are in there. People who just started shifting to this career are in there. And everybody's equal there. Everybody's trying to help each other. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super lovely, super lovely. And what I love as well is that it's not like region based. So it's not like, for example, only the UK or only Australia, which adds a lot of time zone difficulties, of course. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
very useful. I got a lot of things I learned through it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's as I was discussing with James, I think this move towards kind of smaller communities that are away from social media, I'm starting to find them far more valuable and far more
Yes.
useful spaces for putting my time and effort in, because like, the maybe back in about 10 years ago, social media was a good place to kind of hook up with other creatives and see where they're going on and even kind of get past work that kind of way. But that's just like, all of that's just kind of lost in the kind of mental circus that social media is becoming, getting more and more challenging. So these communities, where you actually kind of log on and it's more focused on design, I'm finding them really, really useful. And just that way of like one of the logo review section or the design review section is really handy as well. Just because I'm working by myself and I sometimes second guess myself. So as I was saying to James, it's just really good that like you can just fire up like a screenshot of your Illustrator kind of board and kind of like, here's a few options. Pick one. And it's you get really great feedback. And as you said, I really like the fact that it's all levels. People who are like just starting out, and then you kind of get like a guy like Alan Peters will just drop in or something like that.
Exactly.
Well, so somebody that's up there will drop in. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I've been recommending people kind of get signed up because
same.
So the community could there's room for growth in that community still, but it's just at a really nice level now. There's a really good.
I love that once you put something in, you're helping both sides. Like I'm getting something out of it from a senior designer that I look up to, but everybody reading it will learn from it as well. So it's like mentorship and being the student at the same time. I think that's the strongest side of it. I was also very afraid to go into freelance after being in the agency life for like almost 15 years. I don't have people around me anymore when I go full freelance to have that like 4-eye principle. You know what I mean? Two sets of eyes looking at your work and having an opinion about it at least. And just having people around you to talk to. I think social media is definitely not the spot to have a human connection with people. Like you said, it's more about keeping up what's happening in the world, but actually making connections, building a network of like-minded people. It's not possible on social media anymore. We need stuff like this way more.
Yeah, absolutely. And building up sort of trusted designers as well, because there will be occasions where you want to collaborate with people, or even hand off. Sometimes there's work that comes my way where I'm like, actually, this is more suited to somebody with like, talking about maybe more niche or like with a bit more junior experience. So yeah, just actually building up those where you can actually trust that person to hand it off rather than just blindly hand it off, and so that person or the client will just get a good service,
exactly
from the people that you've kind of spent time trusting them. But anyway, here's the bingo wheel, right? I'll roll it once, Peter.
Okay.
Because I got a bit of feedback off James, and he was totally right, especially when I went back to edit the clips.
It's
the turning of the bingo wheel is kind of drowning out any sort of chat or talk, So
it's so loud.
Exactly. So I've pre-rolled your balls, for want of a better
Don't put
expression.
that sentence out of context.
Yeah. I've got your balls pre-rolled here, so I'm just going to draw them from my hand, and I'm going to. The bingo wheel of wisdom has kind of shown up. So these are quick fire questions just to chuck out at you. So let me see, number 19. What's your superpower of choice?
My superpower of choice?
Yeah.
I would say After Effects in this case. We just talked about it, and it added so much convincing on the client side. And as well as for the website, as you could tell, like it adds a little bit more of experience and a little bit more of just the vibe overall. It really helps. That's my superpower.
Right. Okay. I was kind of like, I think I was meaning more that you could choose anything like flying or invisibility.
Like literally superpower. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I would say healing.
Healing. Yeah. Okay.
Healing.
Wow. That's a good one.
That's a deep one, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I think there's so much healing that needs in the world. So if anyone could take it up, I think you should have to. I think there's no way you can.
Full Jesus with a gown and kind of
Yeah, the
Just
prophet.
you got the beard anyway. You kind of have.
Yeah, I'm going for it. I'm going Gandalf over here.
Gandalf, yeah, just laying your hands on the sick and the ill. But yeah, no, that's a quite a lovely answer actually. 33. Do you have any tattoos? I'm presuming that you do. Kind of
No,
an ex-metaler.
no.
No?
No, I know a lot of people think I do, but I've none.
Yeah,
I'm too much of a perfectionist. I'm so worried that in
yeah,
10
yeah,
years I'll be
yeah.
like, that design sucks, you know? So I
Yeah,
never
I've
got to
always.
it. I'm really interested though. I really still want a big sleeve, but I still don't know
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
need to be on it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I maybe just get one, which is maybe like just a small thing to actually say that I've got a tattoo, or go through the experience of having a tattoo, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes you
like,
just need to have something messy to just keep going, you know?
yeah, but I've never kind of got into tattoos. It was like that thing of just like I can't commit to this one like thing that will like
Exactly.
that I'll look up every
Exactly.
day of my life and kind of go, yeah, I'm 100% happy with that every day.
And I
You
also know
know?
that people that did it never look back to it that way, but still I have
Yeah.
that fear.
Yeah. Fear of commitment. So number 30, do you do one task at a time or do you flit around like an agitated wasp?
Naturally, I definitely do the second. Like at agency work, I would flip between projects within the same hour because my attention span is so extremely short. I have to say now with my new agency model, like I said, I block out times for the clients. It does help. It does forces me to just work on that project because I need to have that project done by the end of that block. And for me, two things work really well. It's like being able to switch in between so my attention span stays very high, or having so much pressure on the time that I force the attention on that one specific thing that I need to do. So that works for my current model. So that's what I'm doing these days.
Yeah, amazing, man.
I was one of those students, you know, like if you had a test or whatever, like I would wait till the very last night or something
Really,
that
yeah?
you need to make. Like
Yeah,
I would have
yeah.
it done 5 a.m. in the morning before you have to give it to your teacher. Like that's the kind of stuff I did. So I definitely
Yeah.
need to work on that even more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm the similar where I actually have to, as soon as a project comes in, I'm starting to talk about deadlines because I'm like they're like, oh, do it whenever. When you get that off a client, I'm like, no, let's not, because I fear that, you know, in terms of this kind of whenever thing it'll just kind of get lost at the pile of the chaos. So if I actually have something in my calendar that's like, okay, if it's this Friday, right, you need to get it done by this Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'll even try and whip the client into shape in terms of like, I don't care if it's actually just like not needed by Friday, but just tell me that it's needed by Friday. Otherwise, this is in jeopardy of just dragging on and on and on. 9, how many tabs do you have open right now?
Oh wow, only 3 right now because I would be worried I had to share my screen.
Well,
no, I think normally there's like 10 open, but I really hate when I see people having like 30, 50, whatever open because it just your whole computer suffers, man. Don't do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't like to see my tabs, man. I'm talking 20 plus at least right here.
No, I can't. I can't handle.
Yeah. I've been doing my Tesco shop online while you've been chatting as well. I've been multi-tabbing away here.
Respect.
71. Name a design hero.
Oh, ooh. Oh no, James is gonna listen to this, isn't he? No, just kidding.
It's just...
I've never thought about it. I really like Collie, CJ.
Oh, CJ Coley. Okay,
yeah. And the thing I like the most about him is like he seems so genuine, like 100% himself.
Oh yeah.
Not only in the way the topics that he talks about, like often things like mental health, for example, or anything else, but his whole style, you can tell like his youth and experience and everything is poured into it. Like this whole skater boy vibe, it works really well with this kind of work that he does. Yeah, I really respect that. It's someone I look up to.
CJ Coley, okay, good choice. Blur or Oasis? I think you have to.
I think Blur. I don't know. I have that song. It's song 2. It's called, right? The big
song
one
2, yeah.
From like that's such a fun memory of that song. Not just only because it was playing everywhere, but I used to game a lot, and it was just one of the most epic soundtracks from, I think it was FIFA 98 or something like that. This is a really stupid game, but man, was that such a hit.
Yeah, okay, so it's blur. I think that
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't a question on your application to the Home Office. I think
All
it's
right.
like when you come to the UK, you have to like define which tribe you're
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
either in the Blur or
You
the
gotta be
Oasis tribe.
separated.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. This like yeah, we just build a wall between Blur
Exactly.
fans.
No,
Um,
you go to the Blur side.
okay, another couple of questions and then we'll wrap up.
Okay,
43,
okay.
minimalism or maximalism?
Ooh, minimalism. Minimalism for sure. Yeah, I can't stand having stuff that I don't need or seeing stuff that I don't need. And the same goes in my design language. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why is it here? If it doesn't have a purpose, please remove it.
Okay. And one of the number 12 is how do you handle creative block?
Ooh,
Do you have a
I
method?
tend to do chores because most of the time I'm just at home. So for me, it's like doing chores or going for a long stroll outside. Those are the
Yeah.
big resets for me. Back in
Yeah,
the
I
day, I used
think
to do like podcasting and watching series, but I then get so distracted by what I'm doing that I'm not even thinking about creativity at all. So that
yeah.
doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, I find as well like not doing anything, just like escapism, because I think especially when you're sort of running your own business, I could be there in the evening, kind of constantly thinking about like the project for and that's so not healthy. Like one of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things is that you can burn out doing things as you love as much as to burn out doing things you uh, don't love, and it's very important, I find, to actually just kind of force myself to kind of like watch a film or like just engage, like turn off the phone, put the phone away. And it's just one screen. I'm going to
hmm
engage with this film, or do other things like that. As you said, like walks or like go to the gym or things like that, where like I just completely shut off and don't think about work because
yeah,
I find that the joy or the creativity can easily that stuff's kind of pretty finite, and you have to sort of let go of it and give it
yeah.
time to restore. Otherwise, yeah, you could just actually kill the golden goose a little bit.
Your brain needs to be get bored, right? That's the whole
Yeah,
point. I think it just needs have nothing to do, and
nothing
then
to
it will
do
come again.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of getting into meditation quite a bit, and there is a whole thing
absolutely
where
do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I find that's great. There's one of the things where there's really good meditations from this guy Ramdas, but he has this like just be. It's like just like his whole thing about is just to exist and
Yeah.
just don't do anything else. Try and like not think about anything else. Just to kind of actually exist for like five
You'll be
ten
surprised
minutes.
how hard that is. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
so hard, and it's like it definitely needs a practice. But but what I do when I get to that place where I'm just being, and that's it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not. It's not the future. It's not the past. I'm just being. I'm just in the moment, and I just
Yeah,
completely shut off the brain. It's honestly like it's just so healthy
I love that so
because
much. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're like, oh man, I needed that. I needed the, you know, like in computer software terms, if your machine's running super slow, you just need to shut that sucker down and
Yes,
give it
exactly.
some
Yeah.
time off, and your brain's very much the same. Yeah. So did I send you over the heavy dessert menu?
No. What's that?
I thought I was very organized, and I would have sent you over the heavy dessert menu. So the heavy dessert menu is basically a list of industry topics that we were going to just discuss for the last section of the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
He said, scrambling to find the PDF. Let me see. Okay, found it. Heavy dessert menu. Reopen that up. If I leave enough of a silence, I think the AI will naturally edit this bit out. Share. So, very, very slick. Well prepared.
No
Getting
worries,
there.
man. No
Right here.
worries.
Okay,
No
here's the
worries.
PDF. The heavy
Yeah.
dessert menu. Look at it
Let's
go.
go.
So you have choose one from how to price your work, the AI elephant in the room, the red flags of a nightmare client, specialist versus generalist, self-promotion without the ick, avoiding burnout, your design and how to sell it, or the things they never tell you about in design courses. What's your favorite
Okay.
topic there?
I think we already had a couple of them, didn't we? Like specialist versus generalist, so we don't need to talk
Yeah.
about that anymore. For the burnout we even talked about. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, we kind of we even talked about the things they never tell you about in design courses. Man, we've kind of done most of this menu anyway. We've done really well.
I think I would still choose for 8. I think there's a topic that people really need to hear in the social media world now.
Yeah.
Because we really tend to follow what other designers are doing. Like we see a successful designer, we're like, oh, we need to use the model they use, or we need to have the style that they use in their work, or the way they communicate, the way they present themselves. And none of that works if that isn't you. I think that's a really big thing. I think that's one of the reasons why I really liked, like I said before, CJ Colley. It's like, just do something that feels so natural to you and build on top of that. Find those superpowers, try to show that to the world, try to be unique enough, not forced, but just to make sure that people recognize for who you are and what to expect from you. Because if we're all making the same content, if we're all doing the same designs, it will not get you anywhere, and you will be burned out within no time because you don't feel genuine. You don't feel like you're putting yourself out there. And something I struggle with. I see so many great designers, so many great work, and I keep shifting around the way I do stuff. And I should totally stop doing that. And that's what I'm trying to work on right now. But I think that's definitely something nobody talks about, ever.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we touched on that already. But yeah, I think it is finding your own voice, your own authentic voice, and building on that rather than taking all that learned stuff and trying to repeat and regurgitate it is very much a very valuable lesson for anybody starting out or like a design student. Yeah, I have a student placement kind of going on at the moment. So I'm working with a girl who's doing a visual communication course in Aberdeen. So I
Okay,
1 hour
cool.
a week, we go over and we chat over stuff and get her to do some projects and things like that. But I do remember getting her CV in, and it was just very, like, that was one of the first points I said to her, just like, I couldn't tell your personality from your CV, and you're meant to be like visual communication. It's like the amount of times where I kind of get stuff from like young graduates, and it's like, they've done amazing work, and like the actual, even the stuff that they've done in their portfolio is amazing, but like, who are you? You know,
Yeah.
you should be skilled at kind of like branding yourself and like presenting your work with that sort of personality and with that vibe, and you know, inputting a lot of stuff in there. So like it's amazing the amount of times I kind of get sent work from like even illustrators or whatever, and they kind of send you over the stuff, but it's like it has none of their kind of like on the way they presented it. It doesn't kind of represent how they kind of put themselves into other work. And it was like your authentic voice, who you are, what you do, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see more of that in the way you present yourself, you know.
Let's be honest, I don't even know how to do that myself yet, still. Like, I'm currently really thinking about what my social media strategy would be. And the fact that I'm thinking about it as a strategy already feels very unnatural. But I have to think about it in that way, obviously. And I think a great way to compare this whole problem is like, if you meet new people and you're trying to act like the person that everybody likes, and you'll have a friendship based on that, the friendship will never feel genuine, right? Like, and a lot of clients choose their partners, their design partners, the same way as they choose their friends. Like, there's this click, there's this trust. They like spending time with you. They like working on projects together. And I think we have to keep in mind that basically making a business network is like having a friends network.
Very similar, yeah, very similar. And I touched on this point before about, like, you know, people a lot of times wanting to, once they kind of get to know you first and trust you, then it's like, okay, let's look at the case studies, you know. And it's why I'm still a fan of like in-person networking and going out to. I've kind of got a few meetings in the area to go out and actually meet businesses in the area and get to know people, because I do, like, that's how I first started out. And I still think with all the advancements of digital promotion or whatever, actually going out and meeting local businesses who need your services, and just once, if they get on with you and they kind of like you and they're like, oh right, he lives locally, then okay, let's look at your like portfolio and see if we can actually work together. So that trust and liking your personality is very similar to how friends operate. Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, I think you nailed it there.
yeah. I don't know if I did, But
Yeah, I think
anyway,
you did. I think you did. Yeah.
you definitely nailed it anyway, Peter. I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on. Yeah, because
Thanks for
like,
having me.
no, it was you were one of the people, as I said, I wanted to chat to for a while because, as I said, when I saw you come on in the designers community, like I was knocked out by the actual work itself, but then I was fascinated by that
Oh, thanks,
sort
man.
of membership process and how you were sort of doing it, making it work different. So it was great to hear about that and dive into that. But yeah, brandsmith.studio, if anybody wants to have a look at Peter's work and follow along on the usual socials, etc. And yeah, Peter, I'll see you. Well, I'll see you in the designers community,
I'll see
designers
you
with
soon. Yeah.
3rs.com. So if anybody, I'm going to do James's work for him.
Yeah. Good, good. People should definitely join. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and he has an amazing offer, which is if you sign up for 12 months, I think it's like $300 or something. I'm not too sure, but you will get like a full Adobe CC subscription for the year. So that's like obviously much less than what it is for that. So it makes sense if you're signing up for that anyway. But yeah, I'll hopefully see you in Edinburgh soon as well, man. Welcome to
I
the
hope so, man.
Scottish
We're going
creative
for it.
scene. And that's another reason I wanted to talk to you is like I'll hopefully introduce you to be able to send this podcast on and let people know that like this guy is actually based in Edinburgh now. So like hopefully I can get you plugged into the Scottish creative scene and get to know folk, network with people over this side of the island.
I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it, man.
So that was Peter. Thanks very much to Peter for coming on the podcast. Lovely guy, really great answers. Fascinating to hear about his subscription process. And I did realize the logic behind it as we were talking. Um, yeah, and go onto his website, brandsmith.studio, and you can see his work there. Fantastic in every aspect: motion design, logo design, branding, website building. Guy's pretty top at all of those disciplines. So a complete all rounder. And yeah, he is moving to Scotland, which is really exciting. And I know a lot of the listeners to this podcast are based in Scotland, so watch out for Peter. I don't mean watch out for him as in, he might start rooting through your bins or something. Just, watch out for him at design talks, and you know what I mean. I'm back in the studio and I've had my sagaloo and it was very tasty. Thank you for asking. And now that I'm a little bit calmer, I just wanted to have a little chat about cringe culture because I saw Katie Cowan of Creative Boom posting about thoughts on cringe culture. And it's one of those things that I realized that this whole podcast is an antidote to cringe culture. Like, I really feel that the nature of cringe culture, where you're being mocked for being too open, too honest, authentic in a way, that it's really debilitating. It can be debilitating. That fear of exposure, that fear of being self-conscious. And I started this podcast. I just started it, and there is a lot of mistakes going on. There is a lot of things that I need to tighten up. They go out unedited. So I do afterwards kind of think, oh, there was that bit I said I should take out. There was that bit I said I should take out. And I would never actually get the podcast out if I was to go back and try and like edit all the bits and tighten it up. So there's a part of me is always just trying to just get it out there, just get the thing done and learn as I kind of go. And not to, I do have a thing about beating myself up too much when I do make a mistake. So it's trying to be more comfortable with that, of just letting things out there, even if I am cringing myself at what I've said. It's to kind of resist that and to actually get it out there. Like I even when I was recording the YouTube thing, because the background here, like I have a desk over the way, which is fine, and there's like posters and stuff, but that's my actual desk that I kind of create collages on and sketch out ideas and have this sort of that's my ideation station, as I'd like to call it. And that serves as the sort of backdrop. And then, when I was on with like sort of James Barnard, and there's like he's got great lighting and the background's like really cool. Is like got really nice posters, nice tight shot. And I started to kind of go, oh no! I started to have that thing about beating myself up about I need the lights, I need the neon signs, I need all that, and even that way of like before I started recording the things, I was like, oh, panicking about that background. Was it up to standard? Should I get like buy a fancy shelf and put loads of like design books on it and have my kind of switch around? But then I was more kind of like, no, this is my studio. This is what it looks like. It's in a beige office. So, and I'm making it the best I can. So it's just the realness and the authenticity of that more and more, as we're desperately trying to keep things polished and rely on robots to completely make up things for us. It was that kind of way where I'm comfortable about it now. I'm already starting to think of like season two, and that I will make things better for season two. I probably will improve the background, and I maybe, and even as I'm kind of hosting the podcast as I go along, I think myself, rather than going back and editing them, I'm kind of editing in a moment where I'm just trying to learn how best to host these things. But again, it's like, but I'm not going to take down the first kind of podcasts or whatever. They're there, even though like I'll probably, if I do host this for like, 3 or 4 seasons or whatever, and I'll probably go back and listen to it, be like, oh no. So it's like the same in design. It's like the designs I did, I was about to say 10 years ago, but even 3 or 4 years ago, you sometimes go, oh, what was I doing? You constantly, but it's like that fear, like that. But I was really proud of it at the time. And I just think there's that fear of exposing yourself has to be kind of fought against. I'm fighting against it personally, because I understand that, like how exposing it is when you put it out there, and especially if people are kind of if you put work up and it's suddenly got negative comments or whatever like that. But you just have to fight against that tide, because the other thing that is it'll be yesterday's news by by tomorrow. If you do put something out there and it gets ribbed or whatever, or people don't appreciate it, fine. The world moves very fast. It'll be yesterday's news, and you can kind of come back. The universe is very forgiving. That's one of the things you have to realize. Even though right now, if something you've put out is getting slagged, essentially, or then it's not gonna. As I said, tomorrow's. That's what I love about just getting up in the morning. I'm always really positive in the morning, because I kind of feel as though it's like the universe goes, okay, we've wiped the slate clean, fresh whiteboard. What are we going to do today? And I feel like that as well. So that if I was to give in to cringe culture, I probably wouldn't get the podcast done. I'd probably be like there ages trying to get my background right, trying to like spend like half the week trying to edit out all the ums and ahs and all this kind of stuff, and maybe kind of re-recording the podcast or something, just because I was so disappointed with how I performed on the podcast. Never the guests, and that's the thing. I never. If in my mind the guests have just been bringing the gold, so it's that way. I shouldn't be so as judgmental as myself. Anyway, I'm kind of rabbiting on. Um, Quite ironically, I feel like that cringe feeling rising up, and that I want to delete all this, but no, it's staying in. Maybe it'll resonate with one of you at least. Yeah, thank you all for joining me to this far. I don't know, I don't know how to end these podcasts. I should come up with some sort of kind of ending. I felt like people who have listened to the end bit, the end podcast legends. I'll work on some sort of name for you. End ledge, end ledge, legenders, legenders, legenders. Let's go with that. You're the legenders of the podcast. And if you comment cringe, I don't even have a prize, but if you comment cringe under the Instagram post, I know that you're a ledge enders. I'll maybe get badges or something made up, and I'll try and like distribute them to ledge enders, kind of like EastEnders. Anyway, I gotta get a logo or something. Thanks for joining me. See you next week. Fraser Robertson, the AKA Lost Astronaut, will be my guest next week. Very talented designer and illustrator based in Glasgow. Bye.